Chapter 5 of Paul the Dauntless. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by David Leeson. Paul the Dauntless by Basil Joseph Mathews. Chapter 5. Whom say ye that I am? Through spring after spring the storks trailed northward by Jordan and desert, sea and plain, while Saul the student of the law was learning. Like the wrestlers whom he watched at Tarsus at the Greek games when he went home, he grew quicker and more confident as, year after year, he tussled in swift argument with his fellow students or even tried a bout of words with Gamaliel. So eager was he for the triumph of the true worship, so passionate was his reverence for the one holy God, that he was ready to kill. He even believed that God would want him to kill his own brother, if that brother were to ask him to worship any of these other gods. The words that he knew so well would ring through his head, words from the law of Moses. You shall not consent unto him, nor listen to him. Neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare. Neither shall you conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. You shall stone him with stones that he die, because he has tried to draw you away from the Lord your God. Yet, even as Saul repeated the awful words of the law, Jesus, who had now left his Nazareth home, was walking with those young Galilee fishermen, whom he had called from their boats by the lake to follow him, and was saying to them, Love your enemies, do good to them that hate you, bless them that curse you, pray for them that despitefully use you. To him who smites you on the one cheek offer also the other. Love your enemies and do them good, and you shall be sons of the Most High, for he is kind toward the unthankful and evil. Andrew and Simon, John, James and Philip and the others, as they sat round him on the grass of the mountainside, heard the words, Happy are you poor, for the kingdom of God is yours. Happy are you who hunger now, for you shall be fed. Happy are you who weep, for you shall laugh. Be happy when men hate you and insult you. Dance for joy, for just so did they treat the prophets. Love your enemies and forgive those who have done evil to you. Their spirits leapt out in answer to the glorious height and might of his appeal. A thought took shape in their minds. Could it really be that this was he, the Prince Messiah, for whom they and all their fellow countrymen looked to save their people? Yes, but if he is the Messiah, they would ask one another, will he lead us and all the people from the villages and towns against the Romans? Shall we make him king of the Jews? What about getting swords and spears for fighting? He gathered them round him, and with gentle simplicity and dignity told them of a kingdom that was not of force, but of love, a kingdom where the tired, starving prodigal son and the loathed tax collector, the poor woman and the strong young men would all come in the spirit of children, in happy comradeship and holy worship. Then one day, in answer to a question from Jesus, Whom do ye say that I am? The impetuous Simon blurted it out, You are the Christ! He took a baby on his knee and his arm was round a boy who stood by his side. The kingdom, he said, is of such as these. Whoever does not accept the kingdom like one of these will never enter it. And a great sternness came over his face as he declared, Whoever makes one of these least stumble, it would be better that a millstone were hung round his neck and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Then he walked on southward, walked apart from them, his face set and stern, on through the gathering night, to face all the tense hate that he knew had gathered against him at Jerusalem, the Jerusalem which Saul, now a graduate, had probably left to return to his home at Tarsus. The snarling priests of the Jews and the cruel soldiers of Rome were at one for once in their hate of Jesus. For his kingdom was to be higher and stronger than either the 1,000 rules of the priests or the sword and the fortress of Rome, and they knew it and hated him. At last he stood in the temple court in all the might of his own simple majesty. There, where Saul had been learning the whole duty of the Pharisee, he stood and raised his voice as he pointed to priests and Pharisees, scribes and Sadducees. "Alas for you," cried Jesus, "teachers and Pharisees, play actors, humbugs! You will not go into the kingdom, and you will not let anyone else go in. You whitewashed graves, outwardly clean, you are inwardly rotten. You slaughterers of the prophets whom you flog and kill, how can you, alas, how can you escape condemnation?" He turned his back on them, left them, for his last supper and the agony in the garden. After supper, when he had gone into the garden across the brook, there came the flickering glow of torches, whose light danced and wavered as the soldiers stumbled down the dark ravine and crossed into Gethsemane. They took him to the hall of hewn stone, where the hastily gathered council of priests heard him say what was to them the last blasphemy, "I am the Christ." They called him "Liar!" and those who wore the robes of servants of God spat in his face, blindfolded him, let the soldiers beat him, jeering at him, and saying, "Now, prophet, guess who smote thee?" To the sound of the voice of cursing Peter saying, "I never knew the man," he crossed from the hall of the Jewish council to the Roman judgment hall, to look in the face of careless Pilate and to enter into the crafty, coarse, shifty presence of Herod. They lashed him with a many-thonged whip, they crushed a cruel crown of thorns on his head, put on him a mock royal robe and a scepter reed. And the cry went up to the brazen sky, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" For 6 hours, nailed to the Roman gibbet cross, he hung, till his cry came, "It is finished." They buried him in a stone-cut sepulchre. As the dawn came up over Galilee one morning and men who had fished all night without catching anything drew near to the shore, a voice came over the water. "Comrades, have you any fish?" "No," they answered. "Throw out the net on the other side." And it was full of fish. Christ had risen. He was there again as in the great days. Once more and for the last time the comrades sat to breakfast on the beach. The last words that he said that morning were the first that he had spoken on the same pebble beach 3 years before. "Follow me." And somewhere Saul, the young law graduate, was rising that same morning, putting on the spotless white robe of the Pharisee, washing his hands and face in running water, and making his morning prayer toward the temple. He was trying to do the will of God in every detail. To him came the story that was gathering the people in gossip in the bazaars of Jerusalem, that the followers of the crucified rebel Nazarene, Jesus, declared that he had risen again and were actually worshipping in his name. Saul's soul shuddered at the blasphemy. "Cursed is he who hangs on the tree," said the law. These blasphemous, ignorant Galilean peasants were worshipping the Cursed. The refrain of the law would hammer again at the brain of Saul as he thought of these men. "Neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare, but you shall surely kill him. You shall stone him with stones that he die." End of chapter 5.